Om Gananam Tva Ganapatim Havamahe Kavim Kavinamupamashravastamam Jyeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspata Anashrunvannotibhisivasadanam Om Shri Mahaganadhipataye Namah Om Vrishabham Charshaninam Vishwarupamadabhyam Brahaspatim Varenyam Om Tadvishno Paramam Padam Sada Pashyanti Shorayah Divi Vachuratatam Om Shlim Hlim Jyothishya Namah. Can everyone say Hare Ram Krishna 3 times? Om Hare Rama Krishna Hare Rama Krishna Hare Rama Krishna. Also Om Pam Parasharaya Namah 3 times. Om Pam Parasharaya Namah. Om Pam Parasharaya Namah. Om Pam Parasharaya Namah. Okay, so we are doing the chapter on Karakamsa, right? We finished 11 verses if I remember right? Okay. So verse 12 in chapter 33, the chapter on Karakamsa, effects of Karakamsa, verse 12. Yeah, last class you missed in this session. चंद्रारभु वर्गस्थ कारके पारदारिकः विपर्ययस्थेन्यथाग्नेयं फलम्. No, there is something wrong. विपर्ययस्थेन्यथाग्नेयं. Okay, विपर्ययस्थेन्यथाग्नेयं फलं सर्वं विचक्षणैः. चंद्रारभु वर्गस्थ कारके means chandrarabhru. Chandra ara bhru means moon, Mars and Venus. Vargastha means situated in their vargas. Karake means Atmakaraka. If Atmakaraka is in a varga owned by moon or Mars or Venus, Paradarikaha, then the person will be interested in other people's spouses. Viparjayasthe means if it is other vargas, Kneyam Phalam Sarvam Vichakshanahi. Otherwise, you cannot say that. So basically, specifically, Moon, Mars and Venus have been specifically mentioned for this. Why?
Moon is because it is the mind of the person. The mind of that native working in
the meaning is, if Atmakaraka is in a division owned by either Moon or Mars or Venus, then the person will be basically in Cancer or Taurus or Libra or Aries or Scorpio. Instead of specifying the signs, he basically gave the owner. Then the person will be interested in other people's spouses. Why? Yeah. Those are the two watery planets and two romantic planets. Moon is a cultured, sophisticated kind of planet, and Venus is the planet of love and romance. Why Mars? Mars is the planet of aggressiveness, aggression and fierce nature. So, sometimes licentiousness can come from either soft feelings and sometimes it can come from aggressive feelings. But the thing is, what you have to keep in mind is this is just a very vague guideline. You cannot make predictions. How many people will have this combination? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 out of 12 signs. So 5 divided by 12. Out of every 12 people, 5 people will have this combination. So it is not logical to just go by this. You have to look for other indications also. And what does he mean by Varga here? Which Varga is he talking about?
The D9.
Perhaps D9? Because D9 is the chart of, Navamsa is the chart of marriage. And it is the chart of Dharma. So probably he is talking about D9 here. Karakamse ravau jato rajakarya paro dvija punyendau bhogavan vidvan sukradrushte visheshatah. Karakamse ravau jataha. If sun is occupying, earlier he mentioned the sign occupied by Karakamsa and he gave some specific results. If it is Libra, he will be a businessman. If it is Capricorn, he will do business in conches and gems that come from the ocean like the red corals, pearls, etc. Like that, he gave various readings for Karakamsa occupying various signs. And now he is talking about Karakamsa containing various planets. Karakamse ravau jataha. If sun is occupying Karakamsa, basically the first house from Karaka in the divisional chart, whichever divisional chart, he is not saying. So if he doesn't say which divisional chart he is talking about, it could be anything, depending on what he talks about. If he is talking about fortune, it is Chaturthamsa. If he talks about dharma or marriage, it is Navamsa. If he talks about education, it is Siddhamsa, and so on. Karakamse ravau jataha rajakarya paro dvija. Rajakarya paraha means does the work of king. Basically he is engaged in royal work. Why? Well, sun is the planet of power. So whatever work he is doing has royal insignia associated with it. He does political work, royal work. Punyendau bhagavan vidvan. Punyendau bhagavan vidvan sukradrushte visheshatah. Punyendau bhagavan vidvan. Punyendau means if full moon is there, you should take it with a pinch of salt. It doesn't necessarily have to be full moon, but relatively full moon. It may not be Purnima day, but it may be, even if it's like Trayodasi or Ekadasi, still moon is more full than empty. Bottom line is, how full moon is important in deciding moon's results. Is it a benefic or a malefic? If he is moon of Amavasya, he is a malefic. If he is moon of Purnima, he is a benefic. So basically, if it is a benefic moon, then Bhagavan Vidvan. Bhagavan means enjoys various bhogas, various pleasures. He has all kinds of luxuries and pleasures. And Vidvan, he is scholarly, learned, artistic. Shukradrushte visheshatah. Especially so if Venus is aspecting him. Why is that? In the case of sun, basically sun is the planet of power, so it makes sense. Now in the case of moon, if moon is strong, like he is full, then he does show luxuries. Moon is the planet of mind. And if he is strong or if he is full, it means mind is in a good state, happy state. So mental happiness, pleasures, luxuries, all these things are so various kinds of sukha are possible. And why Vidvan? Moon is also the planet of artistry and sophisticated. Knowing literature, knowing art, having a good taste, good literary and artistic taste, all these things are shown by moon. So if
it more because if it is associated, if it is aspected by...
Even without aspect of Venus, basically moon by himself, he can show people who are well versed in literature. But the thing is, here Vidvan is not necessarily a scholar who will analyze things very brilliantly, who will parse so many things. It's not that kind of learned person. That is shown more by Mercury. Similarly, Jupiter will also show a learned person, a Pandita, but that is more a wise person who has the right judgment. And Mercury is somebody who analyzes things or who can analytical and logical. But Moon, somebody who can appreciate, somebody who has a good intuition, somebody who has good artistic skill as well as taste. Moon is more a planet of taste. So this is a learned person from the point of view of having good taste and in general having exposure to various arts and literature. And also this Saksha shown by the word Vidvan is more in literature and arts rather than, let's say, mathematics and sciences, etc., which can also be shown by Mercury. Now, Shukradushte Visheshataha means if Venus is aspecting, then knowledge, Venus also gives knowledge. Moreover, bhogas, luxuries and happiness, definitely Venus is the other karaka. Moon and Venus are the karakas. So if Venus is also aspecting, it makes perfect sense. The next one is Swamse balayute bhaume jatah kuntayudhi bhavet vasnijivi naro vapi rasavadi cha jayate. Swamse balayute bhaume. Swamse balayute bhaume means Swa Amsha, in the own Amsha. Some people say that Swamsha means Lagna Samsha, whereas Karkamsha means Atmakarka Samsha. But the thing is, here he is using interchangeably. Swa means own. Atmakarka is basically self. Atma means self. So, Swamsha is Atmakarka Samsha. Balayute means strong. Bhaume means Bhumi Sun, Mars. If a strong Mars, he is not talking about any Mars, strong Mars. If a strong Mars is in the Karakamsha, then
Atmakaraka, can you repeat that?
Find the sign occupied by Atmakaraka in a divisional chart. That is called Karakamsha. Any divisional chart. If we are talking about the work the person that does, it's probably Dashamsha. If you are talking about the marriage, dharma, etc., it's probably Navamsha. If you are talking about knowledge, it is Siddhamsha, and so on. Now, okay. So, Swamse balayute bhaume. If a strong Mars is in the Karakamsa, Jataha, person born like that, Kuntayudhi bhavet means, he wears weapons basically. Kunta, I think, means spear or something. Kunta means one who wears a spear. Bottom line is one who carries weapon always. You have to adopt this. In today's days, it may be somebody who carries a gun always, like a bodyguard of a president or some politician or a policeman, somebody who has a weapon on him, carrying a weapon. And not only that, Vasnijivi means he lives by the fire. Could be, living by the fire could be a, what? Yeah, several possibilities are there. One is, it could be somebody who is doing havan or homam always. It could also be somebody who is a cook, who is living with the fire always and cooking things. It could also be somebody who burns corpses in a smashan. So that is also possible. But he basically, he is near a fire most of the time. Vasnijivi naro vapi, the person will live by the fire. It could also be a sadhu who has a dhuni, a fire next to him always. Rasavadi cha jayate. Rasavadi means a chemist. All chemists are just chemists. So Mars, basically bottom line is based on the planet. Which planet you are talking about, different nature of the planet. Based on the nature of the planet, the nature of the person is decided. So the nature of Mars is one, somebody who is strong, bold, fiery, aggressive, carrying weapon, ready for a fight. The other one is Mars also shows fire. So somebody who's engaged with fire. Especially Mars gives good culinary skills. Mars makes good cooks. So Vasnijivi probably means a cook here. Somebody who lives by the fire and cooks. Because Mars is known to make people good cooks. And the other one is chemist. Again, Mars is the planet of chemistry. So if Mars is there, he will be a skilled chemist. And also several other engineering professions like mechanical engineering, etc. But the thing is, what you have to realize is, you can't really give profession based on Karakamsha. Profession is from Lagna. Profession is that which you do using your body, using your material existence. Karaka, Atmakaraka, what he shows is your sense of this is I. So the thing is, this is actually something deeper than actually what you do. This is your instincts.
The flair that you have.
The flair that you have. The instincts are guiding you in a particular way. Your instincts are telling you to be somebody may not be really a scholar. Somebody may be just maybe a taxi driver. But he may have, his instinct may be, his vasanas may be to read books, appreciate books, to look at art and appreciate art. He may be a good judge of, he may have a good taste in arts and literature. So,
it's better to have it in Lagna itself so that person can fulfill his.
for me?
Suppose if Karkamsa itself is in Lagna.
Yeah.
Then whatever is.
Yeah, whatever the person's inner ability or inner inner spirit is there, is also manifesting externally. So there is a good chance. Actually, there is a combination. I think we'll see later. If Atmakarka is occupying Lagna in a divisional chart, in that area of life, the person is like a king basically. That is a combination for a king. Atmakarka being Karkamsa being in Lagna, that gives somebody royal birth. Again, you have to take it with a pinch of salt. The thing is, depending on whether it happens in Navamsa, Dashamsa, Chaturvinshamsa, etc., you can say that person is very well endowed in that area of life basically. Things come very easily to that person in that particular area of life. For example, in my case, I have in my Siddhamsa, I have Gemini Lagna. And Gemini contains moon. And moon is my Atmakarka. So my Atmakarka is basically in Lagna in D24. So from childhood basically, even though I used to stay first, I never used to really study. Things just came easily. I would listen to some class, it will just make sense. And even when I passed the Sanskrit BA exams when I was 10 years old, I would really not study much. I would just browse the pages and it would make sense. It is almost as though I already know it. So knowledge is something that comes very easily to me. So like that, if somebody has Atmakarka in Lagna in Dashamsa, let us say, career will be so nicely arranged for him. Things will happen so easily. So Atmakarka being in Lagna in any divisional chart is good for that area of life. The person will be very well endowed and very lucky, very fortunate in that area of life, where the inner spirit and the external have a synergy between them. The next one is
Swamsa you said is owned by Karakam. What exactly did you say for it?
this but latest line.
No, Swamsa.
Swamsa just simply means Atmakarka Samsa. Let's say your Atmakarka is Sun, Atmakarka is Jupiter, and let's say Jupiter is in Libra. Then Libra is the Swamsa. Depending on which divisional chart. Let's say your Atmakarka is Jupiter and he is in Libra in Navamsa. So Libra will be the Swamsa or Karakamsa as far as Navamsa is concerned. If you take Dashamsa, you have to look at where Jupiter is in Dashamsa. Okay? So in the previous class, we saw the results of various signs. Karakamsa placed in various signs, there are various results. Parashara gave sample results. So we saw those. And now he is giving the results of planets in Karakamsa. So Mars in Karakamsa will make the person a weapon-bearing person, a chemist, and somebody a cook. Budhe baljute swamse kala shilpa vichakshanaha vanidya kushalaschapi buddhi vidya samanvitaha. Budhe baljute swamse. It is strong. Mercury is in Karakamsa. Kala shilpa vichakshanaha means kala shilpa vichakshanaha. Kala means arts. Shilpa means sculpture. So sculpture and various arts. He is skilled in various arts. And not only that, Vanidya Kushalaschapi. He is skillful in, he has a gift for business. He is business minded. Of course, Mercury can give a good taste as well as he is also the Vaishya. He is the businessman among the planets. Buddhi Vidya Samanvitaha. Means, Buddhi means intelligence, smartness, smarts. He has smarts as well as Vidya Samanvitaha, knowledge. He is smart, wise, and has good knowledge. And he knows how to do business and he has a good taste. He has a sophisticated taste. And all these are of course the nature of Mercury. So that is why they are given like this. The next one is Sukarma Jnana Nishthascha Veda Vitswamsake Gurau Shukre Satendriyah Kami Rajakiyo Bhaven Narah. Sukarma Jnana Nishthascha. Sukarma means good deeds. One who does good deeds. Gnana Nishthascha means one who has Nishtha, means discipline in relating to Gnana, knowledge, spiritual knowledge. He is interested in spiritual knowledge and wisdom. He pursues wisdom and spiritual knowledge. Vedavit, he knows Vedas, he knows Upanishads, he knows Vedic knowledge. Swamsage Guru. If Atmakaraka is in the Karakamsha, Jupiter is there. Okay? Shukre Satendriyaha. Shukre means Venus. If it is Venus, Satendriyaha. Satendriya means one who is long. And Kami means one who is desirous, one who has desires. He is long lived and also he has desires. Yeah. I'm not exactly sure why. But the thing is, Indriya, you are right. Indriya literally means the organs. The organs of the sensory organs. And Shata Indriya means one who is endowed with lot of sensory organs. So the thing is, after you become old, the sensory organs will stop working. And so sensory organs are basically blessed well, which means the person will live for a long time. Even in the blessings that they give, they will basically equate Indriya with the year in life. I'm not exactly sure where the tradition came from, but Satendriya means somebody who's very long lived. And Kami means somebody who is lustful. And why Venus makes somebody long lived, I'm not 100% sure. But the thing is, this is actually slightly different. This is not just living long, but living long and being aware basically. Being
Healthy basically. Healthy.
Being healthy as well as having desires and pursuing desires even at an old age. So even at an old age, being very alert, and if you see something beautiful, wanting it, so that kind of person. So that can be given by Venus. And secondly, Kami, lustful. That is again a quality given by Venus. Rajakiyo bhaven naraha means the person will be political. He will be a political kind of person. Now why is Venus giving politics?
Because it's also a planet of micromanagement.
Kind of, yeah. But the thing is, if you look at Venus, Shukracharya, he is the teacher of demons. And he has actually taken the weak demons and he actually, morally weak demons, he has given them direction so that they can take on the gods. Demons are short-lived, but gods, they are immortal. He has taken these mortals and he made them fight the gods and give them a scare several times. So the thing about Venus is he can actually create mighty fighters out of normal people. So when he says Rajkiya here, this is not necessarily the same as what was said for Sun, doing all the government work, etc. This is actually somebody who's working with rebels, somebody who's working with people who are outside the mainstream.
Masterminding something?
Pardon me?
Masterminding something?
Masterminding something with those people. So if Venus is in Karakamsha, he is political, but he is always working outside of the main political class and he is trying to make them break through. So that way he is political. He is not necessarily like Sun. Shanau swamse gate jatah swakulocita karmakrit rahau chaurasya dhanushko jato valoha yantrakrit. Okay. Shanau swamse gate jatah. Shanau swamse gate jatah means if Saturn is in the Karakamsha, a person swakulochita karmakrit. Swakula uchita karmakrit. Swakula means own caste. Uchita means appropriate. Karma means work. Krit means done. Doer. So he is a doer of work which is appropriate for his own. Not really Kula doesn't necessarily mean caste actually. That's a bad translation. Varna is actually caste.
His own class?
Kula is lineage. Kulam means family, the lineage. So one who basically does what his family does. One who follows the lineage. So If you are born in a family of Vedic scholars, you do Veda. If you are born in a family of, let's say, warriors, you become a warrior. So that is what Saturn is showing. So Saturn shows continuity. So Saturn in Karakamsa will show somebody who wants to respect tradition, respect what the elders do and try to do the same thing. So he may or may not have the same profession, but because Karakamsa you can't really say the profession. But his instinct is to follow tradition. His sense of I, this is I. The definition comes from, one of the qualities of the definition is following tradition. Following what has been established and followed by others before.
But in the following tradition aspect, if we see, 50 years back, that was very common.
Yeah.
But over a period of time, that changed.
Even 50 years back, I know, 50 years back it was common, but in very old days again, it wasn't that common. People would basically, even the son of a king, he can go and become a Brahmin. He can go to a Gurukul, he can learn Vedas. If he likes Vedas, he becomes a Vedic scholar. So, you are right, Desikala Patra, based on them, how well people stick to their, the work in their lineage, that basically adopts based on the Desikala Patra. So if you are looking at a time when hardly anyone will do what their elders did, like now, then basically even somebody who has this combination may not really be following, he may only be following to some extent. Whereas somebody who doesn't have this combination may not be following at all. Somebody who has Saturn in the Karakamsa may to some extent follow. So like this basically, if you look 100 years back, when everybody was following the tradition, maybe people who had this combination were even stricter, and they were if their father did, for example, Krishna Yajurveda so-and-so Sakha, they were probably doing only that Sakha, not really anything else. And now probably other people, probably they were doing everything. Even if their Sakha was a particular Sakha, they were trying to do some other things like that. So how well you stick to your lineages ways, that basically is variable within Desikala Patra. So Saturn will show continuing the lineage, continuing the work in the lineage, and having affinity towards elders and what elders did. So giving importance to elders and importance to lineage, that is Saturn. Rahu Chaurascha Dhanushkah. Rahu, if Rahu is there, Chauraha means thief, robber. Dhanushkah means one who carries a bow. Not necessarily every bowman like Rama. We are not talking about Rama. We are talking about somebody who is carrying a bow in the forest to hunt animals or hunt birds, etc. Basically, a lowly person who's roaming with a bow. That's what we are talking about. A bowman, a lowly bowman, or a chauraha, a thief. Jatova loha yantrakrit, or somebody who is doing metallic, metalsmith basically, ironsmith, blacksmith. So somebody who is dealing with metals. So these are the things, if it is Rahu, which makes sense. And there is one more. Vishavaidyothava vipra jayadena prasamtayah vyavahari gajadinam keto saurasya jayate Vishavaidyaha, or he said Vishavaidya means a doctor who treats poisons, a doctor who specializes in poison. It could mean two things. It could mean somebody who cures poison. You get poisoned and then you go to him, he gives you cure. Or it could also mean somebody who is making special kind of medicines using poisonous substances. Because even if you take like a snake's poison or scorpion's poison, using it you can make, by extracting chemicals from it, you can make specific medicines. So these are very potent medicines, but you have to know how to use them. So this is basically non-sattvic medicines, Rajasic and Tamasic medicines. And in today's terminology, all the allopathic medicines will basically qualify in this category. So dealing with poisonous or advanced medicines which are using potentially dangerous substances. So that is what we mean by Vishavaidyaha. So this is also given by Rahu.
It can also be a class that the person is cruel-minded.
Not necessarily.
It will come from Lagna in that case.
It can come from Karkamsa also. If Karkamsa contains Rahu, the person can be cruel. There can be an instinct of cruelty. The vasanas of the person may be towards cruelty. There may not be compassion. That is fine. But the thing is, that's not being mentioned here. Vishavaidya doesn't mean that. But the thing is, the fact is, he is a Dhanushka. He is a bow-wielding thief. So, of course, he can be cruel. The last one is Vyavahari Gajadina means Vyavahari means one who handles Gajadina, elephants, etc. Elephants, horses, etc. So, a lot of animals. Ketau Chaurasya Jayate. Or a thief. If it is Ketu in Karakamsa, either a thief is born or somebody who is dealing with various animals. Why animals with Ketu? Why would Ketu show animals?
Is it coming from Gajanana?
Who is Gajanana?
Gajanana means with Ganapati, Ketu being for Ganapati some...
Okay. Good thinking, but that's a little far-fetched.
Far-fetched.
Yeah.
Ketu is, Rahu is the mind and Ketu is the body.
Yeah.
So some animals which have no head, only with body.
Do you know of any animal with no head and only body?
No, only when I say no head, it is a thing, so don't think. Animals, in general, you will say, humans think, animals don't think, but they act, kind of.
Right. But let me put it this way. What kind of people does Ketu show? People who are not very, people intuitive, people who are not very logical.
But we'll also show very analytical people, right?
Not necessarily. Mercury and Mars will show analytical people. Ketu shows people who are unpredictable, people who can be eccentric, people who are not normal basically, who are a little eccentric and who are not normal like other people. Now the thing is, which kind of people are suitable for handling, let's say, tigers, elephants, etc. Basically, taming wild animals and working with wild animals. It requires certain kind of intuitive ability to understand the animals. So, basically the bottom line is not that the person is with an elephant or tiger. The bottom line is, these people who are Ketu in Karakamsa, they are intuitive and they go by their intuition. They are not really logical. They are not. Their work is not necessarily, what they do is not necessarily guided by logic and analysis. Basically, they go by intuition. So work where intuition is needed. So one example is maybe taming wild animals or handling animals in a circus. Right? Because Vyavahari Gajadinam could mean somebody who is selling elephants. It could also mean somebody who is handling elephants. Like a mahout who rides an elephant, who controls an elephant. Or somebody who controls, for example, recently there was a person died. He was dragged by a whale, right? A whale handler. Yeah. So people like that basically, who handle whales, who handle tigers, who handle elephants, basically dangerous animals. Those who handle dangerous animals, they can be shown by Ketu. Another thing is, apart from the fact that they are not logical, they are intuitive, another fact is it shows danger. Ketu is the planet of explosive situations. So, people who have Ketu in Karakamsa, they will be dealing with explosive situations. Now, extending further, going away from Parasara, it doesn't necessarily have to be handling whales and elephants and tigers, etc. It can be handling bombs, like a bomb diffusion squad, let's say, right? Those people are dealing with danger, potentially explosive situations.
They need some headless aggression in them too.
You need some, right, you are right, some amount of headlessness to actually do that. Because if you use your head normally and if you are logical, then
You won't do this.
you better stay away from that work. So the thing is, you have some headless aggression, some boldness in you, which is represented by Ketu. Ketu shows headlessness, Ketu shows boldness, Ketu shows putting logic aside for a while and going with your gut.
Like those guys driving into 9/11.
Those guys?
Driving into the towers.
Yeah, right. So that those people also will be shown Ketu. Right. So bottom line is the Ketu in Atmakarka, Ketu with Atmakarka in an Amsha will show that kind of nature in that area of life. Okay. Again, Rahu and Ketu both they can be cruel planets. They can be, both Rahu and Ketu are practically one. And they try to steal Amrita. So they are not really, they don't necessarily have perfect morals. Now, let's do, he's giving some combinations. Let's do one. Okay. Ravi Rahu yada swam sarpad bhiti prajayate. Ravi Rahu yada swam sarpad bhiti prajayate. Shubha društau bhayam naiva papa društau mritir bhavet. Ravi Rahu yada swam. If Sun and Rahu are in the Karakamsha, sarpad bhiti prajayate. Then there is danger from snakes. There is fear from snakes. Shubha društau bhayam naiva. If benefits are aspecting, there is no problem. Functional benefits are aspecting. Papa društau mritir bhavet. If functional benefits are aspecting, then death occurs because of it. So bottom line, based on the aspects, you can either tone the bad result down or tone it up. It will either become full or negligible, depending on the aspect. That's one moral. The other moral is Sun and Rahu will show problem from snakes. Which divisional chart are you talking about probably?
Will it be decent or will it be, if the person is going to die, that's physical level. So
I know, but we are talking about Karaka's Amsha only. This whole chapter is Karaka's Amsha. Swa Amsha says, not Swa Rashi. Right? Ravi Rahu yada Swamshe, Atmakaraka's Amsha. So which Amsha is appropriate for seeing this kind of problems? Yes, D30. So you should see this in D30. See which planets are with Karakamsha in D30.
Rahu, we can understand why Sun gives
Right. Why Sun? Now the thing is, Sun is the Karaka for the Atmakaraka, right? Naisargika Atmakaraka. He shows vitality, physical vitality. So if he is afflicted with Rahu, then there is a problem. And if that is happening in the Karakamsha, there is a problem. So basically both the Naisargika Atmakaraka as well as Chara Atmakaraka are afflicted by Rahu in this case. So there is a serious problem given by Rahu. Shubha Shadvarga Samyuktau Vishavaidyo Bhavet Tada. Shubha Shadvarga Samyuktau Vishavaidyo Bhavet Tada. Bhaumekshito Karakamse Bhanu Swarбhanu Samyute. Okay. Okay, this is actually part of next line. And he said, if there is benefic aspect, then this doesn't happen, no fear. If it is malefic aspect, death, right? In addition, he is saying, Shubha Shadvarga Samyuktau Vishavaidyo Bhavettada. This Ravi and Rahu, let's say, these are actually in auspicious Shadvargas. In all the Shadvargas, Rasi, Navamsha, Drakana, etc., in all these Vargas, if they are in benefic Amshas, then he will become a Vishavaidya. Means, again, like we said earlier, a doctor. Ravi, Sun Rahu combination can show a doctor in modern medicine. Okay, in risky kind of cutting edge kind of medicine. So bottom line, Sun Rahu combination will show doctors. Bhaumekshite Karakamse Bhanu Swarbhanu Samyute. If Sun and Rahu are together in Karakamsa and Mars is aspecting them. Anjagrahana Pashyanti Swaveshna Paradahakaha. Anjagrahana Pashyanti. If other planets are not aspecting, then Swaveshna Paradahakaha means Swaveshna Paradahakaha. Swa, own Veshna means house, residence, Para or other Dahakaha. He burns his own house or somebody else's house. He basically causes loss of property if Mars is aspecting this combination. Why? Rahu shows big problems and Sun is the planet of fire. So Sun-Rahu combination can also give loss in a fire. And if Mars is aspecting it, basically Sun and Mars are the planets of fire. So if Mars is aspecting it, it shows aggression. So there can be fire caused to his own house or somebody else's house. The person can cause a fire accident. Again, this is in D30. Tasmin budhe chapi vasnido naiva jayate. If Mercury is aspecting, then there is no problem there is no fire. He doesn't give fire. Papakshe guruna drushte samiva gruhdahakaha. Papakshe guruna drushte. If they are in malefic sign, if the sign occupied by them is a malefic sign like Scorpio, Aries, etc., Ketugan, etc., and then even if Jupiter is aspecting, Samipa Gruhadahakaha, still he will burn nearby houses. So the thing is, even Jupiter's aspect is not capable of saving if malefic sign contains these planets. Shukra Drushte Viprendra Gruhadaho Najayate, but if it is Venus, there is no fire. So bottom line is Mars, Sun, these are conducive to fire, and Venus is definitely not conducive, and Jupiter may be conducive or may not be, because Jupiter is an Akasha Tattva planet. So he can, if there is a problem with fire, he can actually let it happen or not let it happen based on the sign occupied by this combination. Suppose they are in an auspicious sign, then Jupiter can save. But if they are in an evil sign, even Jupiter may not be able to save. But Venus can always save because he is a watery planet. So based on the Sun and Rahu combination or even Mars and Rahu combination, though it's not mentioned here, it is bad for fire related problems, fire accidents, etc. So if that exists, you have to see who is aspecting that combination. Okay? This is in the Atmakaraka, in the Karakamsa. So with that, I will end the parasha today. We'll see a chart. So remember that we finished up to 22nd sloka, verse 22.
Which chapter is it?
Karakamsa, effects of Karakamsa. I forget the chapter number. We'll start recording. So we are going to see the chart of a young man who is 32 years old, and in February he was diagnosed with cancer, lung cancer, and it may have started with the bone cancer and then developed into lung cancer. It is in an advanced stage. It is supposedly in the 4th stage, and doctors are of the opinion that he has maybe 3-4 months of life left. And astrologers who see the chart are saying they are not really seeing death in this time period. They think that there is more longevity. So our opinion is short. So let's see the chart. Let me give you a few events that we know in order to rectify the chart. Actually, first the data. 1977, July 21, 3:25 a.m. India Standard Time, 5 hours 30 minutes east of GMT. The place is Pune, India. 73 degrees 52 minutes east, 18 degrees 32 minutes north. And the events that we know are marriage was on 2006, recently. 2006, July 28. That is when marriage. And then his daughter was born on 2007, June 17. He purchased a house in India in 2005. He also purchased some land in June 2008 in Hyderabad in his mother's name. His father had an accident in April 1995 when his brother was driving. when this person was driving. So his father had an accident and he has a soft tissue damage in one leg and one hand. Don't remember when, okay. And he failed 11th standard in 1993. His first job was in April 2002. And when did he come to UK? In April 2007 he went abroad. So these are the events we have. Let us quickly verify. Now, it's not available. Okay. Let's quickly verify which dasha is running. So marriage, when did you say? 2006? July or June or July 28. 2006 July 28 he got married. So that would be which dasha? Rahu Mahadasha, Saturn. Rahu Saturn gave marriage based on Mishotri dasha. Does it make any sense at all? Based on this chart, does it make sense?
Actually, I moved that to Leo.
You moved it? Okay. So the time you gave is not your rectified time. So the given time is 3:25, but Vijaya rectified it to Leo Navamsa, which makes sense. So let us also do the same thing. Let us change the time back by change birth time to move Lagna to previous sign in Navamsa. So time is modified to actually let's just round it instead of he's finding the exact seconds needed, so we'll just round it. So 3 hours 24 minutes 49 seconds. It has to be either this or before. If it is after this, marriage makes no sense. So it is at least 10 seconds of error is there at least. So now with this, the Navamsa Lagna is Leo, the 7th Lord is Saturn in 7th house. Saturn is the 7th Lord in the 7th house and Rahu is the other 7th Lord. So with Saturn and Rahu owning the 7th house of marriage, Rahu Dasha, Saturn and Dasha giving marriage makes very good sense. So this event makes sense. And let's quickly look at the... Yes.
The marriage Karaka, Venus being in 12th, does 6th from 7th, does it make any
For me?
issues at the time of marriage?
Not necessarily. It wasn't Venus Dasha. Had it been Venus Dasha, some displacement or some problem would have been possible. But as far as Saturn and Rahu are concerned, Rahu is 7th Lord in Lagna, Saturn is 7th Lord in 7th house. So they're fine. The only problem is, Sun is also there. Depending on how close he is to Rahu, there could have been some fight or quarrel or some kind of thing, disagreement at the time of marriage. But overall, the Saturn, Mercury, Rahu, Ketu axis is quite strong there. So I don't really anticipate any problems. Now, let us see the Tripravesh chart. When did this marriage happen? 2006. Let us try, it could be 2005 or 2006 annual chart, depending on when the birthday happened that year. So let's try 2006. It was on July 30. So marriage was on July 28. So let's try 2005 annual chart. Okay? So 2005 annual Tithi chart, the lunar birthday, the Shravana Shukla Panchami, came on August 10, 2005. And based, who was the ruler of the year? Venus. See, Hora Lord is Venus. So he is the ruler of the year. And let's see the dashas. Which dasha gave marriage? June 28 would be Saturn dasha again. It would be Saturn dasha, Saturn Antardasha. Saturn basically gave the marriage. Why did Saturn give marriage? Yeah? Oh, July. Sorry, you're right. Jupiter. She is absolutely right. So it was Jupiter Moon. So Jupiter Moon gave marriage. Jupiter Dasha gave marriage. Why? Why was there marriage in Jupiter Dasha? Does it make any sense at all? Tula is the Lagna. Jupiter is in the 10th house exalted, but he is the 6th and 3rd Lord. Can 6th and 3rd Lord give marriage? He is with 7th Lord Mars. So Jupiter, Mars and Ketu are together. So could he give marriage? To move it to Scorpio is not possible because then you have to add 13 minutes. That much error is unlikely. Moreover, if you do that, the natal chart will be spoiled. So Shani, Rahu Dasha, Shananta Dasha marriage doesn't make sense. On the other hand, moving to Virgo is possible. If you subtract another couple of minutes, Virgo Lagna is possible. If that is the case, Jupiter will be 7th Lord in the 11th house exalted. So then marriage will make sense, right? So that is actually very likely. It is likely that there is still error. How much? 1 minute 48 seconds or more. You at least need 1 minute 48 seconds to move it back. So at least 1 minute 48 seconds of error is still left, which is possible. Basically, which means given time has a couple of minutes of error, which is always, it can never be ruled out. Usually, whatever time people give, it can be wrong by up to 5 minutes. So they don't really necessarily note it down at the right time. But can you justify this itself? It is possible because Venus Lagna is strong. Apart from Lagna for marriage, you can also look at Shukra Lagna. Shukra is quite strong here, right? The 7th Lord is in Lagna, showing the possibility of marriage. And Jupiter is the dispositor. Jupiter is the dispositor of Venus Lagna. So given that, we don't have a compelling logic. If we adjust it, we are happy. But if we don't adjust it also, it can be made sense. But the thing is, let us move on thinking that there is a good chance that this is still wrong. A couple of minutes, it is off by a couple of minutes. But we are not 100% sure. Let's look for another factor which can give us more confidence so that we can make the rectification, make the change. Let's look at another event. When did he have a daughter? 2007, June 17. We went back to the natal chart. 2007, June 17 would be Rahu Dasha still Saturn Antardasha. So Rahu Saturn, the same Antardasha also gave childbirth. Does it make sense? Before we see it, let's see how much leeway we have. 4 minutes earlier will change, Lagna will change, 14 minutes later will change. Okay. So let us see. Saturn and Rahu giving child. Does it make sense? With this Saptamsha Lagna, who gives the first child? Saturn? Yes, you count opposite because ascendant is in Taurus and even so count backwards. So if you count 5th house, it is Capricorn. Who is the lord of it? Saturn. So Saturn Antardasha gave marriage. So that would make sense. And from that sign, Rahu is in the 8th house. Moreover, from the lord of that sign, Saturn, Rahu is in the 3rd house. So taking the Paka Lagna, Saturn, Rahu is the 9th lord in the 3rd house of gain of child. So both Rahu and Saturn could have given this child. So this is accurate. So what we know, it doesn't mean that the 2 minutes of error that we felt comfortable with in Navamsa, even though we could justify with this time, but we felt more comfortable with 2 minutes back, by moving the time back by 2 minutes. We are not still sure that is wrong, but all we know is how much leeway do we have in this Saptamsa. This Taurus Lagna is right in this chart. So the backward error cannot be more than 3 minutes 59 seconds. So we know that probably there is an error between 3 minutes 59 seconds and 1 minute 48 seconds. Right? So we will see some more events and get more confidence. Let's go to the 2006. For me?
Rahu falling in 3rd house has some justification.
For me?
Why did you say Rahu falling?
From Pakalagna, planets in the 1st house, 5th house, 3rd house, etc. can give child.
5 is okay. Why 3?
3 is the 11th from 5th.
Oh.
3rd house is the 11th house from 5th house. Moreover, 3rd house is the house of vitality. So actually 8th house also can give the child. 8th house is the house of longevity and 3rd house is the house of vitality. And as we have seen in the past, the 3rd and 8th from the Pakalagna corresponding to a particular child can give that particular child. They can result in the birth of that child. So 1, 3 and 8. These are the houses that you normally see. So Rahu, Saturn, Antardasha makes sense. And more than the Mahadasha, Antardasha should make more sense because Mahadasha is very long. It happens for 19 years, 18 years like that. Whereas Antardasha is for 2 years, 1.5 years, 3 years like that. So that should explain the event very well. And in this case, Antardasha is of Saturn. And Saturn is the planet who is showing that particular child. So it makes perfect sense that Saturn and Jyothishya gave the child. Okay. So what was the date? I forgot. 2006, 7 June, right? Yeah, June 17. So we are making the annual chart of 2006. 2006, July 30 was the marriage, was the birthday. Shravana Shukla Panchami. So from that chart, the ruler of the year is Sun. And let's see which dasha gave the child. June 17. The daughter was born. June 17 means after June 12. So Saturn dasha. So Saturn, Jupiter. Saturn Mahadasha, Jupiter Antardasha. So the 1 month of Saturn dasha in the annual chart gave the child. And how is it possible? Does it make sense? What do you think? Huh?
It should make sense.
It should make sense, but is it really making sense? Just be honest. Is it making sense?
What was your question?
I am asking, Saturn Dasha gave the child. Saturn Jupiter gave the child. Does it make sense? Her logic is, it should make sense, because in order to change the time backward, you need 17 minutes of error, which is ruled out. To move it forward, you need 142 seconds of error. That is also ruled out, because we intentionally moved it backward, because marriage wasn't making sense. So this better makes sense. Her point is, it should make sense. But the thing is, does it make sense? Suppose it doesn't make sense. You are sure that this is wrong. Then, if you can't reconcile, you can say, hey, something is wrong. I'm not confident of this data. Can you please verify?
What did you change now? Did you change anything?
I didn't change anything. I just made the annual Tithi Pravesh chart for the year 2006-2007. And on 2007, June 17, a daughter was born. So that would be Saturn Dasha.
Fifth Lord is Sun.
Yes, very good. Just think logically. This is an odd sign. First child is from the 5th house. So Lord is Sun. So it is here. So Saturn is in the 3rd house. Perfect. Just like in the natal chart. So from Sun, Saturn is in the 3rd house. So his Dasha gave the child. Why Jupiter Antardasha, right? It is Saturn Dasha, Jupiter Antardasha, between June 12 and June 18. Why? Jupiter is the Lord of that sign. He is the 1st house Lord. So a planet associated with the 1st house, planet associated with the 3rd house. Makes very good sense.
I'm lost somewhere. What did you change from before? You had Rahu in 3rd house.
That was the natal chart. That was the birth chart. And we were looking at the Vimshotri Dasha, where Rahu Dasha, Saturn Antardasha, which was running for a couple of years, gave the childbirth.
That was natal Saptansha.
That was the natal Saptansha. This, now I said, let us look at the annual chart for that year, Varsha Chakra. So we looked at the Tithi birthday, and then that year. So this is the chart of that year. And based on the dashas that are applicable with the annual chart, it was Saturn, Jupiter that gave the... We are basically using multiple techniques to be confident of the time. If everything gels well together, you can be confident, and hopefully at the end of this exercise, we'll have the birth time within a 1 minute or half minute kind of window. And then we can confidently give predictions. Otherwise, we are just speculating. Okay. So this makes very good sense. Moreover, note one more thing. Forget all these counting the child from the 5th house, 7th house, all these technicalities. Just the 5th house shows child. So 5th house has to be activated for child to be born. And if you look at 5th house, from Lagna, Saturn has nothing to do with the 5th house, but you look at the 5th house from Jupiter. Jupiter is Karka for children. So you can see the 5th house from Lagna as well as Jupiter. So from Jupiter is in Saturn sign. And from in the 5th house from Jupiter, Saturn is there, right there. So basically Saturn is associated with children during this year. Something important relating to children can happen in Saturn Dasha. Now on top of it, when you see the Pakalagana corresponding to that child, Saturn is in the 3rd house. So child was born in that year, in that particular month of Saturn Dasha, between June 12 to July 17. Okay? So now this also makes sense. Let's see going abroad. When did he go abroad? When did he go abroad? I forgot. 2017 April?
2007 April.
Is that when he went abroad or a little later? He joined his next job with Sopra Systems in April 2017. He travelled to Scotland, UK and finally moved for long. Okay, in April 2007, he joined some company called Solar Systems and moved to Scotland, UK. So April 2007, he went abroad. That doesn't make sense. Let us see. April 2007 would be, we have to go to Jyothishya now, because we are back to natal chart, the Janma Chakra. So 2007 April. So that would be still Rahu Saturn. Rahu Saturn is very eventful in his life. So Rahu Dasha, Saturn Antardasha. Why that gave him foreign residence abroad? Why did he go abroad in that period? Tell me. Why? Not Navamsa. You see D4, right? Chaturthamsa. Okay. Why? Let's see how much leeway we have. 17 minutes, 14 minutes. So we are not going to rectify anything. We will only be confident that this time is right. Okay. Why he went abroad in Rahu Saturn period? Right?
Badaka. He is with Badaka. He is with Badaka Jupiter.
Why is Jupiter Badaka?
He is the 11th Lord, right?
11th is not Badaka.
No, it is the
11th is Badaka for Chara Rasi. Chara Rasi, 9th is Badaka.
9th is Badaka, okay.
Vishwabhav Rasi, 7th is Badaka.
Yeah.
So Venus is the Badaka. Venus is the actual Badaka. Okay, so what does Saturn have to do? See, Rahu, he is Karaka, right? And moreover, in the 5th house of patriotism or being in motherland, is basically giving Gurchandala Yoga. Jupiter-Rahu combination. So it is, moreover, he is Karaka for going abroad. So Rahu Dasha makes sense. But why is Saturn Antardasha? Tell me. That is what I want to know. Pardon me? He is in the 3rd house, right? Which is? Yes, it is the 12th house from 4th house. So it can show big displacement.
And he is also 12th Lord.
Why abroad though?
He is also 12th Lord.
Yes, he is not only Lagna Lord, he is also 12th Lord. 12th is for abroad. 9th, 12th, these are the signs for abroad. What else? There is one more thing. There is one more thing.
9th Lord Venus is in 10th, indicating 9th Lord Venus is in 10th,
Yeah?
indicating that it's work related.
Yeah, he will go abroad relating to work. But why in Saturn period? So, why in Saturn Antardasha? Saturn is aspecting 9th house, isn't he? Do you see that Saturn is aspecting 9th house?
Yeah.
He is aspecting 9th house. So, that is the other thing. If you actually count, it will be probably something like 90% or 94% kind of aspect. It's a very strong aspect. So Saturn is the 12th Lord aspecting the 9th house. Now the thing, you can, just like you can find houses, 5th house from Jupiter in the Saptamsa, you can find 9th and 12th houses from Rahu here. Rahu is the Karaka for abroad. But you count backwards for Rahu. So if you count backwards from Rahu, does Saturn have anything? For me? Whose house is he in from Rahu? Tell me.
He is in 3rd from Rahu.
Huh?
You take reverse, right?
Yeah.
Rahu is intended to Gemini. So
Yeah.
10 Taurus to 10 Gemini is the first one.
Yeah.
And he is
Right. He is actually, let me simplify it. He is simply aspecting. Saturn is aspecting the 9th house from Rahu as
From
well.
Rahu.
Because 9th house from Rahu happens to be Libra again. So he is aspecting the 9th house from Lagna as well as Rahu. And he is the 12th Lord from Lagna. So there is a chance that Saturn may take the person abroad. Let us see this in the annual chart. Same annual chart, 2006 annual chart, right? In this annual chart, which period gave this? 2007 April, right? We don't know if it happened in Mars or Mercury. Do you know? The thing is, Mars, he is the Badaka Lord, Badakasthana. According to Shastras, Badaka Lord, 9th Lord, 12th Lord. These are the ones who can give abroad. They take one abroad. So being Badaka Lord, Mars can also give. But Mercury makes much more sense because he is the 9th Lord, he is with Rahu. He is with the Karaka Rahu, who shows abroad things abroad, and he is the 9th Lord directly. He is aspecting what?
another Badaka Lord
Yes, Ketu is the core. Excellent, fast, very fast. The other Bhagaka Lord Ketu is being aspected by Mercury, and Mercury is the dispositor of him. And he is the dispositor of 7th Lord Moon also, of long journeys. So Mercury is the perfect link, and he is a Jalarashi. So he is a perfect link. Everything is lined up so nicely with Mercury. So it must have been Mercury Dasha. Not the Mars. Mars also makes sense, but Mercury makes 10 times more sense. So it's probably after April 13 and before June 12 that he went abroad. So this is making sense. Let's see the 7 minutes, 25 minutes. So this is useless. So any other event we want to see, we can look at the career. He started his career when? 2002 April. Right? Let's go back to natal chart Seshu. You will see the chart having changed. This is the natal chart again. And we are in Vimshatri Dasha. 92 April, right? Was it 92 April? No, 2002 April, sorry. 2002 April is when career started. So that is Rahu Dasha, Rahu Antardasha. So as soon as Rahu Dasha came, within Rahu Mahadasha, Rahu Antardasha, his career started. Does it make sense? Makes perfect sense. Because what shows service? Career, 6th house and 10th house. 16th particularly the house of service. Rahu is 6th lord and is in the 5th house of recognition. So he was recognized and he got a job. So, okay. Now we have a. So
it is not possible anyway.
So if the time is 1 minute 25 seconds later, not possible anyway. So 11 minutes earlier, then again not possible. So we don't really have any interesting data here. We can't unfortunately narrow the window further. But this makes sense. Rahu, the 6th lord in the 5th house, having started the career, makes very good sense. Let's see the annual chart. 2002, right? So we have to see 2001 annual chart. 2002 when? February or April? April. So this was either Mars Dasha or Mercury Dasha. Gave the career. Does it make sense? Well, it makes, both of them make perfect sense because Mars is the Lagna Lord and Mercury is the 6th Lord. They are together. So this must be accurate. That this is perfect. So let's see if 20 seconds earlier. If the time is 26 seconds earlier, Lagna will change to Pisces. Now if Pisces is the Lagna, starting career in Mars Dasha or Mercury Dasha, does it make sense? Why Mars makes sense? He is 9th Lord in 12th house. Doesn't really make sense. I mean, he has nothing to do with 10th or 6th. So it doesn't really make much sense. But maybe you can justify to some extent. And Mercury, 7th Lord in 12th, well, it doesn't show starting career. So neither makes that much sense. Whereas, if you take Aries Lagna, it makes excellent sense. So,
it's not backwards more than 26.
It's not backwards by more than 26 seconds. So what we know is, the time we rectified, it's not forward by more than a second because if that is the case, marriage makes no sense. It's not backwards by more than 26 seconds. So we take it as is. So the time that we have taken, what we'll do is we'll actually subtract. Oops, what did I do?
Then subtract 10 seconds.
Yeah, I'll basically split it half the way. So I'll subtract 13 seconds. So I'll make it 36. So this plus minus 14 seconds, let's say. So this is the rectified time. Our window is plus minus 14 seconds. So we know within half minute. So Navamsha, the perfect logic that we wanted doesn't happen in the annual chart. Only the okay logic, that is also acceptable logic. We have to live with it. Okay? That's why we didn't change the time immediately. Because there was no compelling reason. We would be happier if it was changed, but we were happy as is also. Okay, now we have the time. Now let us see the other events. He got sick. He was diagnosed with a major sickness. Oh, not the annual chart. We want natal chart. Are there any combinations of cancer? My God, actually there are.
Actually, Rahu is running Rahu Mercury.
He is? No, not Vimshatri. Vimshatri, right, you are right. So let's see the Vimshatri Dasha of Rahu Dasha is running. Mercury Antardasha is running till 2010 June. Gosh. So Mercury is the 8th lord of 8th house is basically disease, suffering, long chronic diseases, tensions, setbacks, etc. So, house of Kashtas. So, the Lord of 8th house is in Lagna. Moreover, is it a benefic sign or evil sign? This is Scorpio. Scorpio is the most evil sign. Sign shown by Scorpion. And also being the 8th sign of the natural zodiac, it shows hidden things, things that are tough to diagnose, things that are secretive.
More so in
There's something hidden about it. You don't know what's going on fully.
Whether it is bone related, but I thought because it is Mercury,
Yes.
you should have.
Mercury can show bone related problems. Also, 8th house happens to be in Gemini. Gemini is the, right? Virgo Lord being in Scorpio is not the problem. Gemini Lord being in Scorpio is the problem. Gemini is the 3rd house of natural zodiac. 3rd is lungs, throat, etc. So, and moreover, Mercury can show breathing and all these things. Saturn and Mercury. Saturn is the main Karaka, Mercury is the secondary Karaka. So, for that reason, breathing system problem is also possible. So, we can't necessarily say because Mercury is associated, Mercury shows Bhutatva, so bones. The thing is that if you look at the tissue-wise, Sun is the Karaka for bones. So, if there is a problem in the bone, it is actually Sun who will show it. But again, Sun is also being aspected by Rahu and Ketu. So, there could be a problem in bones also. It is not ruled out at all. Let us actually see the longitudes, etc. So, Lagna is at 18 degrees Scorpio. And where is Mercury? He is at 4 degrees Scorpio. So, he is actually in the 12th house of hospitalization. And in the sign of Scorpio. And Rahu and Ketu, my God, they are actually very close, unfortunately. 4 degrees is Mercury, Rahu is 2 degrees. So that is like within 2 degrees. Extremely close conjunction of 8th Lord and Rahu. Rahu is the planet of depletion. He is an evil planet. And he is closely conjoining Mercury. And unfortunately, Rahu Mercury Antardasha is running right now. That is the sad part. So until 2010 June 9, this Antardasha is running. Is the next coming Antardasha of Ketu any better?
Same thing.
Not really.
It's the same thing.
He is the Lagna Lord in the 12th house. A little better, but not that better. Ketu is also with them. So Rahu Mercury, Rahu Ketu is like the worst period of life.
Yeah.
What about Rahu Venus?
Lagna Lord in 12th house.
Pardon me?
Venus is the 7th and 12th in 3rd house,
Yeah.
affecting the 3rd line.
Yeah. Right.
Venus also.
Yeah. 1 second. However, if you look at the Rashi chart, Venus is the Lagna Lord. Right? In the Rashi chart, Venus is the Lagna Lord, isn't he? He is afflicted, but he is Lagna Lord. Will Lagna Lord want to give cure to the person or suffering? He is in the 12th house here. So he can give hospitalization, etc. But he can give cure. Lagna Lord doesn't want to kill a person. Lagna Lord wants to save the person at any cost, somehow or the other. So if he survives till Venus Dasha will not kill. It will save the person. But the problem is, will he survive? That is the question. Now Mercury Dasha is running, and then Ketu will come. Is Ketu a Marka? Well, look at Rashi chart for that. He is actually a Marka. He is the 7th Lord. 2nd and 7th houses are the Marka Sthanas. He is the 7th Lord. So he is actually a Marka. So Antardasha that is going to come in June is that of a Marka planet. So given that doctors are saying he doesn't have much life, and given that Antardasha of a Marka planet is coming, it's not looking good. But let us see. Huh?
Can you just look at the longevity of the person?
Okay. Let's look at the longevity.
3.2.
Yeah, the 3-part rule. So what is the 3-part rule?
Lagna Lord
Yeah?
and 8th Lord.
Lagna Lord and 8th Lord. So who's the Lagna Lord? Venus. And who's the 8th Lord?
Jupiter.
Okay. Jupiter is the 8th Lord.
June sign.
Yeah.
Venus is in Tirarasi.
Yeah.
So we should take the other Tirarasi also.
Okay. So Venus is in Tirarasi and Jupiter is in Rishabha. So you get Tirarasi.
This is a long life.
So long life.
One
Okay.
long life.
One long life. And what about the other one? Lagna and Hora Lagna, right? Lagna and Hora Lagna. Where is Hora Lagna?
So June sign will be
1 second. Is Hora Lagna on a border or is it safely within? Hora Lagna is a 10-degree area, so it's safely within a sign. It's not on the border. It's not like at the fag end or fag beginning of a sign. Okay, so Aries is a Charrasi and Lagna is a Charrasi. So middle life. So one long life, one middle life. What is the third one? Moon and Saturn. Yeah?
Moon is in Sthira Rasi
Moon is in Charrasi.
and Saturn is in Sthira Rasi.
Saturn is in Charrasi.
So middle life.
Middle life.
One long life, two middle life. So at least
One long life and two middle lives are coming.
that should be
So overall this is a middle life. Right. So this is a middle life chart. Now, that is the based on the thumb rules. Based on the thumb rules of 3. Are there any other modifications that need to be done? Are there any other weaknesses, etc., for which you need to modify?
There are any planets in Vrushchiga?
Yeah, you want to see?
I think there is only sun in the
No, there is nobody in Vrushchiga. There is no planet in Vrushchiga.
try to see solar desa also.
Yeah.
And Rahu has nothing to do with he's not in a trine from Adil Lagna.
Yeah. Okay. Now the thing is, are there any evil combinations because of which you may have to? The thing is, whatever you estimate, if it is middle life, it is basically between 36 and 72. That is the estimate, right? But if there are any evil combinations in the chart, you may have to make some adjustment. Are there any evil combinations in this chart? Tell me.
This is the 8th lord in second house.
Okay, that's not really evil.
Affecting the-
Yeah, 8th lord affecting 8 is not
So
bad.
basically 8th house is strong.
8th house is strong, right? You are absolutely right. Are there any evil combinations apart from 8?
Second
Vitality. First house is the whole body itself. First house is your very being. Third house is your vitality, how strong you are, how firm you are.
Which comes from
8th house is longevity, how long you live. But the thing is, even if 8th house is strong, if first and third are weak, then also the person can die young.
second lord is in Mercury is in third house.
Yeah. Second lord Mercury is in third house. Third house has some bad combinations going on.
So when we see death, we give importance to the Mahadasha or Amrita.
Mahadasha also has to show.
Rahu, how can
Mahadasha also has to show. Otherwise, they will not be there.
so Rahu is death?
We will come to that. We will come to that. So, are there any other evil combinations on the?
Seventh Lord Marka is also with Lagna, right? Mars with Lagna.
Yes, he is actually in the 12th house. If you look at the longitudes, Mars is in the 12th house. Now the thing is, Rahu has a very close aspect on Lagna. Rahu has an extremely close aspect on Lagna. And Lagna has Gudika very close by. Gudika is extremely close to Lagna. Gudika is at 27-degree Taurus and Lagna is at 26-degree 36 minutes Taurus. So within less than half degree from Lagna, Gudika is there. So Gudika's affliction is there on Lagna and Rahu is aspecting. Especially when Gudika is there in Lagna, Rahu's aspect is very bad. Gudika and Rahu will show poisons, etc. So if they are afflicting either Lagna or the second house, the person can die from poisons, etc. So the fact that Gudika is in Lagna and Rahu is aspecting him is a bad indication. Of course, when we say poison, it's not necessarily that you take a snake's poison or snake bites you. Cancer is also like dying with some poison. So there are some interesting combinations. Gudika in Lagna with Rahu's aspect. So that yoga is a bad yoga. Are there any benefics aspecting which alleviate it? Not exactly. Right? If you want, you can actually look at the aspects. Who are aspecting Lagna? Moon has only 26% aspect. Nobody aspects. Only Rahu has 98.7% aspect. He is aspecting almost fully. No other planet is aspecting Lagna. And Gudika is so close to Lagna. So that evil combination is being figured now. The combination of...
I don't understand why Rahu is not a malefic to this chart.
Actually, okay, technically is he a malefic or benefic? He is a neutral planet.
And he is in 5th house.
Right?
He is aspecting from a...
Is he actually in the 5th house? Is he exactly in the 5th house? He is in the 4th house, okay. Right.
He's
Right.
not connecting any evil.
He is not?
He's not connecting any evil houses. Right? He doesn't own a evil house.
Right? He's a neutral planet. But the thing is, what I am saying is, Gulika being so close to Lagna is a terrible combination. And he is being a malefic who's aspecting it, being a natural malefic and functionally neutral planet who's aspecting that Gulika. And especially when Gulika is affecting Lagna or second house, if Rahu is aspecting them, it becomes a very evil combination. Gulika and Rahu together is a very evil combination.
But Lagna being at 26 and this one being at 25.
Yeah?
As you said, it literally doesn't fall in the 9th house, right?
In the 5th house. Yeah, but 5th house is not my point. If you look at the aspect is 98.7% aspect. Whether he is in the 5th house or 4th house, I am not using that factor at all.
Okay.
The factor I am using is,
The aspect
there is a Gulika affliction to Lagna and Rahu is affecting it. So Gulika-Rahu combination affecting Lagna without, had Jupiter or Venus aspected it, it would have saved. Without any alleviating benefic influences.
But Venus is right in that place, right?
No, but he is 12th house. If you look at the longitude, he is in the 12th house.
Right.
Can we see Jupiter is in Lagna itself?
Jupiter is? He is in 1st house. He is in 1st house. Right. So Jupiter and Venus is in the 12th house, but Jupiter is in Lagna. So there is Jupiter's influence. Unfortunately, he is the 8th lord. His ability to save is minimal, but he can save. Jupiter can save. So that is the only hope. But bottom line is the evil indications are quite powerful. This, unfortunately, there is a Rahu Dasha is not a favorable Dasha and Ketu Anta Dasha is not at all favorable. Now, to see death, you can look at Trimshamsa because that is the sign of your punishments for the evils that you have done in the past. In the Trimshamsa, Rahu is, again Gulika is in Lagna, but anyway, Rahu is very closely associated with 8th Lord Rahu. 8th Lord Mercury. So 8th Lord Mercury is close to Rahu. So Rahu can be a Marka. Rahu and Ketu can be Markas. So this is a very dangerous time. But you said Shula Dasha, right? Let us check with the Shula Dasha. Let us see Parashara Shula Dasha. The other Shula Dasha is not based on Rishi's teaching. So let us see the Niryana Shula Dasha, which is taught by Parashara Maharshi. Okay? If you see where is Niryana Shula Dasha. Niryana Shula Dasha, see the death for Niryana. As per that Dasha, Dasha starts from the 2nd house because it's stronger than the 8th house. The Dasha running right now is Virgo is running right now, but Libra is soon going to start. Okay? So how do you see this? Virgo is the 5th house from Aru Lagna. Right. Virgo is the 5th house from Aru Lagna. So it's not a favorable period. What about Libra? Even Libra is 7th house. See, 7th and trines are bad, right? Oh, sorry, Libra, not Scorpio. I'm thinking wrong. So Libra should be safe. But Virgo Dasha is a dangerous Dasha. He is at the fag end of a dangerous Dasha. Based on this Dasha. And based on Vimshotri, things are actually quite bad. When is Ketu Anta Dasha coming? June. So June 9 till July, whatever that we saw in the other one, that is an extremely dangerous period. June, July is a very critical period for this person. Let us see the annual chart now of the last year. Because actually let's see when the birthday this year is. In 2010, the Tithi birthday, Shravana Shukla Panchami, is on August 14. So by that time, probably the Virgo Shula Dasha will be over. So let us look at 2009 birthday. So Shravana Krishna Panchami, Shukla Panchami was on July 26 last year. So in this, who's the ruler of the year? Just for the heck of it, Mars. Mars is the ruler of the year and he is the 3rd lord. Ruler of the year is Mars, he is the 3rd lord. Right? With the, sorry, not 3rd lord, what am I saying? He is the 6th lord of disease. So some disease etc. have come this year. Let us see the, and even in Trimshamsa, the chart of suffering, he is in the 6th house of disease. So, he is Maraka, but he is in the 6th house of disease. So during this year, Marka, let us take it easy for a while. Let's see why he got sick. So, ruler of the year is the 6th lord in Rashi chart, and he is in the 6th house in Trimshamsa chart. Okay, when was he diagnosed with all this? September 2009. Probably Rahu period. So Rahu period he got diagnosed. And Rahu, if you see, he is in the 12th house with Sun, with a luminary. And Sun is the Badhaka Lord. So Badhaka Lord and Rahu are basically in the 12th house of hospitalization, aspected the ruler of the year Mars. And they are aspecting the 6th house of disease. So it makes sense. It is possible that he'll be hospitalized with a disease in the Rahu Dasha. Now, the critical period is Saturn and perhaps Jupiter. How is Saturn and Jupiter? Is there a chance of death during that period? What do you think?
Saturn is okay.
Yeah, in Trimshamsa he is not really showing anything dangerous. In the Rashi chart he is in the 3rd house. A malefic in the 3rd house is bad, 8th lord in the 3rd, but it doesn't seem that terrible to me. It doesn't seem like it's bad, but it's not like terrible. Like for somebody to die, it has to be terrible. Nobody in Vruchbhaga, that is good. Okay, what about Jupiter? What about Jupiter period? Is Jupiter a Maraka? Well, he is the 3rd lord in the 7th house in Trimshamsa, a Maraka. And in the Rashi chart,
why is the Maraka is in 7th house?
3rd lord in 7th house in Trimshamsa. 7th is Marka Sthan, right? 2nd and 7th. 3rd and 8th are longevity, and 2nd and 7th are loss of them. So 3rd lord, who shows vitality, he is in the 7th house of losing life. So he can give death. And he is in the Rashi chart, he is the 7th lord. But the thing is, well, being the 7th lord, he can give death. But are there any evil combinations for death during this year? Where is Lagna lord? See, Sun is the main problem. 3rd lord in 2nd house, right? Actually, house-wise, he is in the 1st house itself. So 3rd lord, he is very closely affected by Ketu. Sun is at 9° Cancer, Ketu is 6° Cancer. So Sun, the 3rd lord of vitality, is extremely closely affected by 6th lord of disease, Ketu. So that is one problem. Is there any other problem in this chart? Is there any other problem in this chart? Anything else you want to see? You say? So is in Jasapara Direkana, Ketu is in Jasapara Direkana. So at least they are not in an evil Direkana. Do you want to see Sahamas? Where is Mrichu Sahamam? Apamrichu Sahamam is in Scorpio, Lord of that is Ketu. Where is Mrichu Sahamam? Mrichu Sahamam.
Down.
Okay. Unfortunately, in the 7th house of death itself. 7th house, Margasthana, is owned by Jupiter, and Mrichusahamam is right there. So, and Apamrichusahamam, which basically shows untimely death, the lord of that Ketu is with Sun. So, Sun and Jupiter, these are the two planets who are ill placed, both in the Rashi as well as Trimshamsa. And Sandasya is already over. This is gone in the December-January time frame, and Jupiter Dasha is yet to come. So there is a danger in the July 3rd week or so. There is a serious danger.
Not that badly placed in Rasi, right?
Pardon me?
Jupiter is not that badly placed in Rasi.
Why do you say that? He is not badly placed, but he is
a Maraka.
He is a Maraka.
Yeah, but he is in
Moreover,
protection, right?
he is actually which house? Actually, that is a very interesting point. Let's see. Jupiter is in the 8th house. He is barely out of. Actually, he is retrograde and about to enter sign of debilitation. So he is not well placed. Moreover, he is in the 8th house. 7th lord in the 8th house is a clear color combination. So he is very bad. So July 3rd week, 4th week, after July 14, It's a very critical period, extremely critical period. Now, what can be done? Can we suggest any remedies? But the thing is, suppose he survives this. Let's hypothetically say he survives this. Let us make the next year's chart, right? Is there any hope of survival? So 2010 August 14 is a birthday. So suppose he survives till then. How is that year's chart?
Who is the ruler of the year?
Ruler of the year is Venus. So how are things? Do you see any terrible combinations? Rahu Ketu in the third house, not so bad. Lagna Lord Venus in Manakarka Sthana in sixth house with Mars, bad, but not as bad as this year's chart. Saturn Jupiter in the 12th, maybe Jupiter is sixth lord. So hospitalization, but it's not looking that bad, right? And if you look at the Rashi, Ketu is in 12th house. And Lagna Lord Mercury is in the second house. Again, things are not looking that terrible. This seems a lot better. So the thing is, if he survives July-August time period, there is a chance that it will basically, you don't see health because Ketu is in the 12th house, 6th lord Ketu in the 12th house. There are bad combinations. So he will continue to suffer. But
Terrible combination.
basically, my hope is if he survives this July time period, it can drag on for a couple of years. And once Venus Antardasha comes, once the Ketu Antardasha is over, how long is that? Let's go back to the natal chart. Unfortunately, the thing is you can never be 100% sure, but there is some chance. See, from 2010 June till 2011 June end is most critical period, Marga period. He survives that from 2011 July onwards, he can recover. Venus can give recovery. So there is some slim chance of survival, and the critical period is going to be July of this month. So what can we suggest to him? What would be a good prayer? Who can save him? Tell me.
Venus itself,
Huh?
Lagna Lord, Venus itself being Lagna Lord.
Venus is Lagna Lord. Venus is a good idea, one possibility. But the thing is, the Lagna Lord is not active right now. He is like, this house is owned by, let's say, me. I have a house in Hyderabad. And I just gave it to somebody else and I went to US. I'm living in US. So if the tenant is creating trouble in the house, I can't really take care of it. I'm not there. In other words, the Dasha running is Rahu. The Antardasha running is Mercury. Venus is nowhere in the picture. So, of course, if you talk to the house lord, he can try to save. But he is not in a position to save. So, propitiating Venus is a good idea but not a great idea. Who are the troublemakers? Who are causing trouble right now? Rahu and Mercury. Mainly Mercury. Right? Mercury is causing trouble. Mercury is the troublemaker. So you need to make him shant. You have to pacify him. You have to tell him, please give some relief. So in order to give relief from Mercury, who can you worship? This Mercury is very closely affected by Rahu. Extremely closely affected by Rahu. In Scorpio is like a snake kind of sign, Sarparasi. By a Sarpagraha Rahu, in a Sarparasi, Scorpio, in Trimshamsa. This Mercury is affected. So who can you worship? Subramanya is one possibility, right? Any other ideas? But the thing is Mercury, planet is Mercury. For Mercury, you can worship Vishnu. Venkateswara you can worship, yes.
Vishnu in Scorpio sign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So the combination of Scorpio and the Mercury.
Yeah.
The avatar of Vishnu responding to that.
Mm-hmm. Who? For Rahu it is like she said Venkateswara Varaha Avtara. For Ketu it is Meena Avtara. But the thing is, you need some aggressive. Here, these are in a Martian sign. Rahu is a very fierce planet. You need a fierce form. Instead of a soft form, gentle form, you need a really fierce form. Like Chandi, like that. But the thing is, it is Mercury. So let's go with Vishnu Avatar. So who can you suggest? Can we suggest Narsimha? Narsimha.
Scorpio, Martian sign.
Scorpio is owned by Mars and Mars shows Narsimha.
Then it should be something like Ugra Narsimha.
Ugra Narsimha, not just any Narsimha, Ugra Narsimha.
Lakshmi Narsimha, Ugra Narsimha.
Yeah. So for this combination of Mercury Rahu, worshipping Ugra Narsimha, get some mantra of Ugra Narsimha and then worship Ugra Narsimha. That is one good idea. Yeah, somebody else,
So now,
in this case, somebody else needs to do for him.
now, in this case,
Yeah.
can gems help in this case? Now the reason is, gem is something that they wear and they postpone the...
I know, but the thing is, what can you postpone? You can see, it is like, if
No,
a cyclist,
postpone the death by 1 month, then maybe something else will protect him.
even that is not easy. A simple gem, do you believe that you buy a gem and you can postpone? See, Mercury Rahu Ketu in Scorpio and Gudika. Mercury Rahu Ketu Gudika in Scorpio Trinshamsha. What kind of karma is it? Do you think it's a small karma? It's a major karma. Do you think that just by buying maybe spending $1,000 or $5,000 and buying a gem, you can postpone such a big karma?
In addition to the rest of the sattvic approaches.
This is not about sattvic rajasic. Bottom line is, this is a powerful karma. Whether you do meditation or whether you do homam or whether you do jam, huge deal is needed to push it off even by a second. This is a major karma. The combination is a very serious combination. So you can't expect that by buying something you can buy relief from it. So jam is totally useless if you ask me. Moreover, if you miss something and if you prescribe a bad jam, it may even aggravate. So there's no point in going for gems in this case. There's no need. There's no need. See, for example, let's say we suggest, suppose hypothetically, let's say we suggest diamond because he's Lagna Lord, he will protect. But in Timshamsa he is Maraka. Maybe it will quicken the death. Like that, basically, there will be something or the other. You can miss. You can suggest something and it can work to his detriment. So let's not go with gems. Worship is the best thing. Narsimha is one thing. The other thing is, how about Sudarsana? Can Sudarsana Homam be helpful?
Is that the sun?
No. Mercury is Vishnu.
Mercury and Vishnu.
And we are talking about Rahu with Mercury. So basically Rahu shows demons.
Why not Chandi
Fighting
Home itself directly?
Pardon me?
Why not Chandi Home?
Chandi also can be helpful, but the thing is, the main problem is Mercury rather than Rahu.
Mercury.
Of course, Rahu Desai is running, so Chandi is applicable. But the way I look at it, Rahu alone there wouldn't have been a problem. He would have been a small problem. 8th Lord Mercury also so close to Rahu is the problem. So I want to address Mercury. And the way you address Mercury is by some avatar of Vishnu. By invoking some avatar of Vishnu. So that is why in this case I will not be prescribing Chandi Homam. My suggestion is, if somebody is capable of doing Sudarshan Homam, by big counts basically, you are talking about some priests come and just do 100 times or 108 times, 1000 times and go. That is unlikely to do anything. Moreover, even if somebody does a big count, most priests are incapable of transferring the result to somebody else. Actually, these days, most people are incapable of generating any result from the ritual they do, because they are doing the ritual but their mind is somewhere else. They are thinking, oh, how many more is left? Maybe another 2 hours. What is my son doing right now? Like that they are thinking. Most people, not just priests. Anybody who does sadhana these days, nobody has focus. Focus is completely wavered by belief. In the old days, people used to be able to focus. So when you have no focus, no result. Nothing will happen, even if you are doing meditation or homam. And even if you are able to focus and generate some result, to actually have that person in your mind so deeply that you can transfer the result to that person. Bottom line is, your mind should be lost in 2 thoughts. That person should get well, and then the mantra that you are doing. No other thought. Your mind is reverberating with the desire and the mantra. Then the mantra will be directed towards the desire and it will actually give the result. So who can do that? Very few priests are there who are capable of doing that today. So that is why I don't recommend go to priest and get this done, because I know that it's very unlikely to have a result. There are very few priests who can give a result. But if you have a good priest, if they have a priest that they have faith in, get Sudarsana Homam done or Ugra Narasimha Homam done. These are the two things I will suggest.
When we say Ugra Narasimha, does the
See, for example, Ugram Veeram Mahavishnum Jwalantam Saradokam Narasimham Bhishanam Bhadram Rityam Namamyaham, that mantra. Do Homam with that mantra. You don't need a Bij mantra or a Veda mantra. It is a very powerful mantra. It is actually a secretive mantra taught by Shiva.
Rahu and Mercury and the combination, will Pratigra be a good option here?
Again, you are talking about a Devi form. I am talking about Mercury, Vishnu. I am talking about a Vishnu form. So that Mercury can be directly accessed. So Sudarsana Homam, or even better, in my judgment, Sudarsana Homam is a good idea because a lot of people are comfortable with it. They know the procedure. But if somebody can do Ugram Veeram Mahavishnu Jalantam Sardomukham, do that like a few lakh times. Just keep doing. Do for a few days basically. Get up, put the fire on, do it in the fire because that will be more powerful. If somebody has the kind of discipline and focus, just keep chanting that mantra. You don't need to do any elaborate procedures. Just a simple Purvangam, Uttarangam like in the standard Lahu Padhati Homa manual is enough. But the Ugram Veeram Mahavishnu mantra, it should go into the fire a few lakh times. Do once, again Swaha, 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 like that. Another idea is do Sampati Karna with the Kshraum Bija. Om Kshraum Ugram Veeram Mahavishnu Jalantam Sarvadomukham Narasimham Bhishanam Bhadram Rityam Namamyaham Kshraum Om Swaha, like that. So do that. If somebody can actually sit and do that for a week basically, doing nothing else, the whole week just chanting that mantra in the fire. If somebody can do that, it can actually, even though the karma is really, really dృఢ here, very strong here, it can actually be made malleable. It can be adjusted. So my suggestion is Ugra Narasimha Homa with Ugra Mahavishnu mantra. And even the person, if he or his wife or somebody close to him, why I always talk about somebody close is because they have that desire that something should happen. The priest may or may not have the same level of feeling when he is doing the mantra. So the desire will be there at least. And then, in addition to the desire, if the person gets focus, even for a short duration, then something may happen.
We just told him to chant Mrityunjay mantra for now.
Mrityunjay mantra is also a good idea, but in my judgment, Ugram Veeram mantra is more suitable. See, this is actually like another form of Mrityunjay mantra. Mrityunjay mantra is one mantra for averting death. If you look at Ugram Veeram Mahavishnu, what you are saying, Ugram Veeram Mahavishnu, Jwalantam Sarvadomukham, Narasimham Bhishanam Bhadram Rityam Namamyaham, the death of death. See, actually what happened was when I was giving this session, after I gave this, I had a big cramp in my foot as soon as I gave this session. So bottom line is, when an astrologer has a desire to help somebody, you are actually taking some small part of the karma. The only way you can avert it is doing with absolute surrender and absolute detachment. But the thing is, if you feel, oh, poor guy, I hope he is well, or something like that, if you feel for a second, you will actually have to take on some karma. Anyway, so, actually the cramp is gone, the cramp in the foot, but if you have become serious. So, but the other thing is, that to me means that when I gave that particular method, I was thinking about different things in my mind. But when I basically narrowed down on that and when I convinced myself that is the right one, I had basically something happening to me, some bad thing happening in my foot. So it is, in my opinion, that is actually a good sign that this will actually release the problem. So that is the right mantra. Let the nearby people, like the wife, father, mother, whoever is there, whoever is really serious about this person, learn that mantra. You don't need to take bath, do this, do that. That also you can do if you want. But whenever you have time, just keep chanting that mantra. Narasimha, please save my son. Please save my son. And then keep chanting the mantra. Mahavishnu. Just subconsciously, the mantra can be going on in the mind. So if a few people around him can do that. But I must warn that Ugradevatas, when they Saumadevatas, they give result very slowly and in a very pleasant way. Like the analogy I gave on Vedic wisdom, basically let's say there is a basket containing lot of fruits and there is a good fruit beneath other fruits. You want to take it out and there are some rotten fruits. So when you are doing sadhana, a Saumadevata is like they will take the rotten fruit, carefully put it in waste basket. Take another rotten fruit, carefully put it in the basket. And then finally get the good fruit from under the rotten fruits, wash it and give it to you. So the result of your good karma will come to you slowly but without much risk, much danger. Whereas Ugradevatas like Ugra Narasimha or Mrityunjaya or Chandi or even Hanuman, these devatas are like, they are in a hurry. They are fierce. They don't care about a little bit of suffering. Okay, little bit of pain for a couple of months. What's the big deal? They think like that. So what they do is, in terms of analogy, they just quickly they are in such hurry to reach the good fruit. The bad fruits that they are throwing in the waste basket, something may spill on the floor. Not careful. So what will happen is some suffering will come. So if you are doing the sadhana for the person, if you are doing this mantra with a desire that somebody should be well, you may get a fever or you may get some disease, some small disease. It won't finish you. It won't be fatal. But some suffering will be needed. But it is better than if you don't do. In other words, you may see, oh, there is rotten fruit, pieces fallen on the ground. But the thing is, if you didn't do that, there will be lot more rotten fruits in the basket. So you would have had to actually eat them before you ate the good fruit. Or you may not have ever eaten the good fruit. So the thing is, some suffering will be given in order to accelerate the good results that will be given to you. And in order to dissipate the bad results without experiencing them. If you want to throw away the rotten fruit without eating it, you have to basically put it in the waste basket. And in the process, some spillover will be there, which will make your room unpleasant. So that is the bottom line. So with the warning, I will advise anybody who wants this person's good, like wife and parents, to do the same mantra, Ugram Veeram Mahavishnu. Instead of doing 100 mantras, 100 sadhanas, my recommendation is just stick to one. Then your chance of success is higher. You are calling upon various energies, is confusion. Just do this mantra, everybody associated with him, do this mantra, with the understanding that some suffering may have to be taken on by you. If you are ready for it, go ahead and do it. And in addition, if somebody is capable of doing a homam for 7 days continuously, or 8 days, let's say 8 days. 8 days continuously homam with this mantra. Either starting on a Tuesday or ending on a Tuesday. Let's say either starting on a Tuesday or ending on a Tuesday, 8 days in a row.
What is the count of 8?
I just randomly gave. Basically, some good amount of time, not like just a few hours. It needs a few days. And 8 days is basically, we are talking about 8th house result, 8th Lord Mercury, so that's why it's days.
Ends with 7, start on Tuesday, end on Tuesday.
Yeah, both will be the same. After I said either start or end, I realized both will be the same. And you are very alert. Usually you are very slow, but today you are extremely alert.
Two things.
Everybody can jump.
No, you can't sneeze and open your eyes at the same time.
Yeah.
So the time I miss is when I try to note down here, you quickly change the chart or you quickly jump to Tithi Pravesha and suddenly lose track.
Okay, we agree that Seshi is always alert.
Always.
Not just, this is not an exception but the rule.
But as you pointed out some time back, this is the same effect we feel
Yeah.
when we do distance Reiki and Reiki to heal some people.
Yeah.
With the thought and the intention we do,
Yeah.
we sometimes feel the exact same reverse effect.
Yeah.
We have to compensate.
Yeah. Right. The thing is, with some sadhanas like meditation and homam, you can basically burn most of the karma without anybody experiencing it. You can basically get rid of it. But, like I said, when you take the rotten fruit and put it in the basket, some spillover may be there, depending on how slow you are or how fast you are. And the thing is, if you are slow and conservative so that there is no spillover, the good will take a long time to come out. And if you are fast, you want to get it done fast, some spillover will be there. So bear it. What's the big deal? So, and especially when what you are talking about is a potential death of a person. And the good fruit you are talking about is life. It is worth it. So that would be my suggestion. Bukram Vira Mahavishnu. This is actually available on the internet. This is called Mantrajapada mantra. There is actually a stotra given by Shiva to Parvati. You take the first word of each verse, you actually construct this mantra. So good luck.
To happen,
yeah.
The immediate people like mother, father,
yeah.
wife, whatever, they have to detach themselves from the fact that these things happen,
yeah.
and be able to focus and do this. Otherwise, they are only thinking about the subject and they lose focus on this. They have to detach themselves.
Very hard. So bottom line is, yeah, it's very hard. It's very hard.
And father, he didn't even know.
But the thing is, instead of, see, there is hardly anybody who is detached. Anybody, whatever they do, they are attached. So the thing is, at least their attachment is non-selfish. It is not about themselves. It is about their son. So it is better. And the thing is, attachment to the body. Even if the person does with an attachment that he should survive, he does a mantra, it is still acceptable. Because attachment to the body, to do the dharma that you have for this life, you need the body. So the thing is, if your body is about to go away, having an attachment that your body should sustain this period and mantra for it or a homan for it is perfectly fine. There's no risk in it, basically. Whereas if you want to become a prime minister, or if you want to kill somebody, or if you want somebody to suffer, that kind of sadhanas are bad. Even Parashara, when he mentioned various homas, right, in the remedial measures chapters, he basically said, you have a weak Saturn in your horoscope, you can specify your Saturn so that Saturn will give you less troubles. You have a Marga combination, you can do homicide. You have Amavasya dosha, you can do homicide. There's nothing wrong in some selfishness, some basic selfishness. So, in my judgment, if the parents are worried about the person's life and
what I'm saying is, they should detach themselves. They can do this effectively. That's what I'm saying.
What I'm saying is, even with attachment, they can do it effectively. The thing is, desire and mantra, if they coexist in the mind and nothing else is there, like, oh, yesterday I wanted to go to that movie. I didn't go. Maybe I should go tomorrow. Suppose this kind of thoughts you will be thinking. Oh, in the office that happened. Like that, hundreds of thoughts keep coming, right? When you are so bothered about your son, other thoughts will be relatively less. You are worried, oh my God, please save my son. Like that you are thinking. And you are also doing the mantra. Of course, if you can focus so much on the mantra that the desire is at the back of your mind, it's not at the foreground, it is even better. It is 100 times more effective. But that is impractical anyway. Most people cannot do. As a matter of fact, if you succeed in putting even that thought at the background of your mind and remove all thoughts from your mind and focus the mind single-mindedly on the mantra, and with just the thought that my son should become well being the background of in your mind, nothing else happening in your mind. Your mind is not thinking any other thoughts. If you can actually put your mind in the state even for a few seconds, you can actually do anything. That is what rishis do. We don't do that. So even if somebody like us does it, it will be by accident, not by design. It may happen maybe once or twice in life. You will suddenly go into that kind of state when the right time comes and something may happen through you. So you should never plan on that. So forget about attachment, etc. Have an attachment to the son or have an attachment to the husband, fine. But the thing is, cut down other thoughts and just do for that person and try to focus as much as you can on the mantra. Any other comments, questions? Okay, so all the best to him. We will hear in a few months, get the feedback in a few months. The chance of survival is very, very low. It is on the chart, extremely low. But there is some hope. It's not like 0% chance. There is some small, slim chance. So, with respect to what the doctors say, and by the way, I don't know why astrologer said it's not visible in the chart. It is actually visible in the chart. If you look at Timchamsa especially, under Rashi. I guess astrologers just look at the Rashi. They don't look at Gurika, Rahu aspect, all these things. They don't even look at longitudes. They just see Rahu in 5th house. That's it. They don't look at other factors. So they may not have seen it. Moreover, there are other things like you don't have to look at the marka only from Lagna. You can look from moon also, right? Moon is mind and Lagna is body. And if mind is dead, like body is dead too. So you can look at Marakas from Lagna as well as Chandra Lagna. If you look at Chandra, Rahu is actually 7th Lord in 2nd house. Pakka Marka. 7th house is Markasthana, 2nd house is Markasthana. So 7th Lord in 2nd house, Marka. Ketu is in the 8th house. Malefic in the 8th house is a Marka. So both are Markas. So actually, irrespective of what those astrologers said, they haven't really applied the knowledge. If you apply the classical knowledge correctly, he's not exactly running a delicate period right now. He's running a delicate period, but from June onwards, he will run even worse period. He will run a terrible period. So it is actually...
June, July, 2 months.
No, from June to next June. We were looking at natal chart, but looking at natal chart, Vimshatri Dasha, Rahu Ketu Antardasha, from this June to next June is really critical. There is no question. But there is a slim chance. So you never know. You never know what is in store. So they should do materially whatever the doctors want to do, find the right doctors, do the right cures, etc. Because it is Ketu, right? If cure comes in Ketu period, it will be through some modern kind of medicine or some what do you say, path breaking kind of thing.
Actually, they tried that eventually.
Okay.
Some kind of new thing.
Yeah, new things, let them keep their minds open. There is a chance when Rahu and Ketu are involved, they can be cured through path breaking medicines or new technologies. So keep trying those, and in parallel also do some remedial measures. And it's just a simple mantra, Ugram Veeram, 32 letters. It should be easy to get by heart. And once you get by heart, in the beginning it will be boring. You start a mantra, you don't feel like doing it. You want to instead watch TV or see a movie or listen to some songs. Mind is interested in those. But the thing is, if you keep chanting for a few days, it will become your second habit. It will just go on subconsciously in the mind. And once that happens, things will start to happen. So let that happen. And if they find a good priest, especially in India, if they can find a good priest, also let a home be done. And if the priest wants to do this mantra, that mantra, that's up to him. But my real advice would be, this is the most powerful mantra for Narasimha that I know of. And if they can actually, this is especially for scaring away death itself. So if they can actually do this mantra for several days together, that will be ideal. But we don't control the minds of priests. Okay? So with that, I'll end the class today. Om Sarvam Shri Krishnarpanamastu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Sarve Dharmika Jana Sukhino Bhavantu. Yavad Bhumandale Sanatana Dharmo Vardhatu. Visheshatah Bhartakhande. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.